Time will tell the Illyrian Empire they fucked with the wrong species when they decided to invade Earth. The massive Illyrian dreadnought Invictus loomed over the blue planet, casting an ominous shadow across the western hemisphere. On the bridge, Commander Cygnus sneered at the primitive world below. He turned to his second-in-command, Zephyr. "Look at them, Zephyr. Weak, divided, technologically inferior. They will submit to us or die." Zephyr nodded. "The humans don't stand a chance against the might of the Illyrian fleet. This will be over quickly." Suddenly, alarms blared. Missiles streaked up from the planet's surface, slamming into the Invictus's shields. The ship rocked, but the barriers held. Cygnus's pale blue face contorted in rage. "They dare attack us? Ready the particle beams. Teach these savages what happens when they defy the Empire." In a top-secret underground bunker, General Jeremy Williams watched the alien dreadnought on a bank of monitors. The old soldier's eyes were hard as he turned to his staff. "This is it, people. First contact, and it's a goddamn invasion. Activate all planetary defenses, ready the nukes. As of now, VT-112, we are at war." The command center erupted into action. Voices shouted, fingers flew over keyboards. The fate of all mankind hung in the balance. The Illyrian Empire wanted Earth, but they would soon learn that conquering humanity would not be so easy. The humans would fight to the bitter end, and they would make the alien invaders pay for every inch of ground in blood. Up on the Invictus, Commander Cygnus watched with glee as his ship's particle cannons reduced Earth's cities to molten slag. He pressed a button on his command console. Streams of deadly energy streaked down from the dreadnought, vaporizing skyscrapers and annihilating entire city blocks in seconds. "They're like ants, Zephyr," Cygnus chuckled cruelly, "scurrying about in terror as we burn their pathetic civilization to ash." On the planet's surface, people ran screaming through the streets as buildings collapsed around them. A mother clutched her wailing child, shielding the infant with her body as a barrage of rubble rained down. An old man in a tattered business suit lay crushed beneath a fallen billboard, his hand still outstretched toward the dubious safety of a subway entrance. In his bunker, General Williams clenched his fists as the death toll climbed into the millions. Reports flooded in from across the globe. Moscow, gone. Tokyo, burning. Paris, a crater. Humanity was on the ropes, but still, they fought on. Deep within the bowels of the facility, Dr. Novak hunched over a glowing holographic schematic of the captured Illyrian scout ship. He'd barely slept in weeks, poring over every inch of the alien craft, dissecting it, trying to find some weakness to exploit. Then, as the world burned above him, Novak saw it. A pulsing tangle of conduits and circuits linking the ship's systems in a complex web, the quantum entanglement drive. "Holy shit," he breathed. "It's the linchpin of their entire force. If we knock this out—" Novak sprinted through the hallways of the bunker, nearly bowling over a pair of armed guards in his haste. He burst into the command center, eyes wild. "General," he shouted, "I've got it. I know how to beat them." Williams whirled around. "Well, spit it out, man. The whole damn world is falling apart." "The quantum drive," Novak exclaimed, bringing up the schematic. "The Illyrians use it to coordinate their fleet. Take it out, and they'll be crippled." The general leaned forward, a predatory glint in his eye. "Then that's what we'll do, Doctor. Get to work on a jammer. Meantime, I've got an idea to buy you some time." As Novak and his team raced to construct a prototype jammer, Williams gathered his top officers. "The bugs have a supply depot on Mars," he growled. "Thanks to the good doctor, we've managed to get some of their stealth tech working. I want a strike team prepped and ready to go in 24 hours. We're gonna hit 'em where it hurts." The raid went off like clockwork. A small force of human commandos, clad in sleek black armor and cloaked in alien camouflage, slipped past the Illyrian defenses and infiltrated the Martian depot. They moved like ghosts, planting charges on the reactor core and vanishing into the rust-red hills. When the bombs detonated, the explosion was so bright it could be seen from Earth. A miniature sun bloomed on the surface of Mars as the depot went up in flames. the shockwave flattening structures for miles in every direction. In high orbit, Commander Cygnus reeled as damage reports flooded in. The loss of the supply station was a devastating blow to the Illyrian war effort. "How?" he snarled, slamming a fist down on the arm of his command chair. "How could the primitives pull off such an attack?" But even as Cygnus raged, the humans celebrated a rare victory. They had bloodied the invaders, shown the Illyrians that Earth would not fall so easily. And in the depths of the bunker, Dr. Novak and his team toiled on, racing against time to perfect a weapon that could turn the tide of the war once and for all. Commander Cygnus's rage shook the very bulkheads of the Invictus as he received word of the supply depot's destruction. His eyes narrowed to icy slits, his grip threatening to crush the armrests of his command chair. They dare strike at us? These primitives will learn the true wrath of the Illyrian Empire. All ships, commence planetary invasion, scour their cities, burn their lands, leave none alive. The order given, a swarm of Illyrian transports descended upon Earth like a plague of locusts. They disgorged their deadly payload into the heart of the humans' most populous cities, thousands of Illyrian shock troopers, each one heavily armed and encased in advanced battle armor. Towering mechs bristling with weapons marched in their wake. But the humans, ever defiant, met the invasion head-on. They knew they could not match the Illyrians in terms of sheer firepower, so they turned to guerrilla tactics, using their intimate knowledge of Earth's urban jungles and harsh landscapes to even the odds. In the war-torn ruins of what was once New York City, Lieutenant Jax Harper and his squad found themselves locked in a desperate battle with a platoon of Illyrian elites. Outnumbered and outgunned, the humans nonetheless fought with a savagery that gave even the hardened Illyrian warriors pause. Harper ducked as a burst of plasma seared the air above his head, the acrid scent of ozone filling his nostrils. His rifle bucked against his shoulder as he returned fire, the high-caliber rounds sparking off the Illyrian's energy shielding. "Keep pushing," he shouted over the chaos. "Don't let up!" As the firefight raged, Harper's keen eyes spotted a chink in the Illyrian's tactical formation, the hulking form of the lead battle mech. An idea formed, desperate and daring. "Focus fire on that mech," Harper ordered, his voice cracking with urgency. "Bring that bastard down." His squad obeyed without hesitation. A hail of bullets and rockets converged on the mech, hammering its armored hide. For a moment it seemed futile, but then, with a tortured groan of rending metal, the machine toppled, crushing a trio of Illyrian troopers beneath its bulk. The humans seized the momentary advantage, pouring fire into the gap left by the fallen mech. The Illyrians, their formation crumbling, began to fall back, their retreat turning into a rout under the relentless onslaught. As the smoke cleared, Harper allowed himself a grim smile. A small victory, but a vital one. They had shown the invaders that Earth would not fall easily. High above, in the cold void of space, Dr. Novak watched with bated breath as the prototype jammer was transmitted to the beleaguered ships of Earth's space fleet. It was a gamble, hastily cobbled together, but it was all they had. The human ships, dwarfed by the looming bulk of the Invictus and its escorts, surged forward with suicidal bravery. As they closed to weapons range, they activated the jammer, and the Illyrian fleet fell into chaos. The jammer worked even better than Novak had dared hope. The Illyrian ships, suddenly cut off from each other and their ground forces, milled about in confusion, their tight formations unraveling. The human fleet wasted no time in pressing their advantage. A salvo of nuclear missiles leapt from their tubes, arcing through the void on pillars of fire. The Illyrian point defenses, hamstrung by the disruption to their network, faltered and failed. The missiles struck home with the force of small suns. The Invictus, its shields failing, took a glancing blow to its starboard flank. Gouts of flame and debris erupted from its hull as secondary explosions rippled through its innards. Reeling, the Invictus disengaged, its escorts following suit. The once mighty warship limped away, trailing smoke and wreckage. A cheer went up from the human ships as they watched their tormentors flee. But even as they celebrated, the human defenders knew the battle was far from over. The Illyrians had been bloodied, but not beaten. The fight for Earth had only just begun. In the command bunker, General Williams studied the tactical display grimly as the Invictus and its escorts regrouped. The Illyrian fleet was in chaos, but he knew they wouldn't stay that way for long. They had to strike now, while they had the chance. "Captain Reeves," Williams barked into the comm, "assemble your team. We're going to take out the head of the snake." "Sir?" Reeves asked, his brow furrowing. "We're boarding the Invictus. We're going to capture that bastard Cygnus and end this invasion here and now." A savage grin split Reeves's battle-scarred face. "Yes, sir, we'll get it done." Within the hour, Reeves and his hand-picked squad of elite soldiers were streaking towards the Invictus in a stolen Illyrian shuttle. The dreadnought loomed before them, a monstrous silhouette against the stars. "Remember," Reeves growled as they approached the hull, "we get in, we grab Cygnus, and we get out, quick and clean." The shuttle shuddered as it latched onto the Invictus airlock. The moment the pressure equalized, Reeves was moving, his rifle snapping up as he stormed onto the enemy ship. Alarms blared as the humans fanned out, their weapons spitting death. Illyrian Marines boiled out of the corridors, their energy rifles flaring. The air crackled with the exchange of fire. Reeves ducked behind a bulkhead as plasma bolts sizzled past his head. His rifle bucked in his hands, the high-caliber rounds punching through Illyrian armor like paper. A towering security drone lumbered into view, its multiple gun arms swiveling to track the humans. Reeves swore, rolling out of cover. He snatched an EMP grenade from his belt and hurled it at the machine. The grenade detonated in a burst of crackling energy. The drone convulsed, its circuits frying, and toppled over with a resounding crash. "Move!" Reeves roared, surging forward. "To the bridge!" On the bridge, Cygnus watched the firefight unfold with growing dread. The human boarders were carving a path of destruction through his ship, and they were heading straight for him. "Prepare the drive," he snapped at the terrified crew. "We're leaving." "But, sir," one officer protested, "we can't abandon the invasion." "We have no choice," Cygnus snarled. "I will not be captured by these savages." The Invictus shuddered as its quantum entanglement drive began to power up. In the corridor outside the bridge, Reeves and his team redoubled their efforts, desperation lending them strength. They burst onto the bridge in a hail of gunfire. Cygnus roared in defiance, his sidearm leaping into his hand. He fired wildly, driving the humans to cover. Reeves vaulted a console, his rifle forgotten. He charged at Cygnus, a primal battle cry tearing from his throat. The Illyrian commander met him head-on, his fist slamming into Reeves's chest with bone-breaking force. Armor shattered. Blood splattered the deck. The two warriors grappled like enraged beasts, trading blows that would have killed lesser men. Reeves felt his ribs crack under Cygnus's onslaught, but he pushed through the pain. With a roar of effort, he seized the Illyrian's arm and twisted, the joint snapping with a sickening pop. Cygnus howled, his gun clattering to the floor. Reeves pressed his advantage, hammering his fist into the alien's face again and again until Cygnus slumped, unconscious. "Drive's at full power!" one of Reeves's men shouted. Reeves staggered to the navigation console, his vision blurring. With a shaking hand, he entered a string of random coordinates and slapped the activation key. The Invictus vanished into the void of uncharted space, carrying its human captors and Illyrian prisoners into the unknown. As news of the Invictus' disappearance spread, the Illyrian invasion force fell into disarray. Without their flagship and commander, the remaining ships abandoned Earth's orbit, fleeing back to Illyrian space. The ground troops, suddenly cut off and leaderless, found themselves surrounded by vengeful human forces. In the ruins of Earth's cities, the remnants of humanity's armies moved to hunt down the stranded Illyrians. Squads of battle-hardened soldiers, armed with salvaged alien weapons, swept through the rubble, flushing out pockets of resistance. Firefights erupted in the shattered streets as the Illyrians made their final stand, but one by one they were overwhelmed and forced to surrender. General Williams watched the cleanup operations from a makeshift command center, his face grim. The human victory had come at a terrible cost, millions dead, entire cities reduced to ash. As the adrenaline of combat faded, the survivors began to confront the daunting task of rebuilding their shattered world. In a secure holding cell deep underground, Commander Cygnus sat slumped in defeat, his once proud uniform tattered and stained. General Williams entered the cell, flanked by armed guards. He regarded the broken Illyrian leader coldly. "Why?" Williams demanded. "Why did you invade us? What could possibly be worth all this death and destruction?" Cygnus met Williams' gaze, his eyes hollow. "Desperation," he rasped. "The Illyrian Empire is dying. Our energy reserves are nearly depleted. Without new sources of power, our civilization will collapse. Earth, your world, it was our last hope." Williams's jaw tightened. The invasion, the war, it had all been the act of a dying empire, lashing out in its final throes. The revelation did little to ease the pain of Earth's losses, but it gave a grim context to the conflict. As the prisoners were processed and the cleanup continued, Williams turned his attention to the future. The Illyrian technology recovered from the crashed ships and abandoned bases would be invaluable in rebuilding Earth's defenses. He ordered the construction of a new fleet incorporating the alien tech, determined to ensure that humanity would never again be caught unprepared. In a secure lab, Dr. Novak and his team pored over the wreckage of the Invictus, marveling at the advanced systems. The ship's quantum entanglement drive, even damaged, hinted at possibilities beyond anything human science had yet achieved. Novak vowed to unlock its secrets, to use the Illyrians' own technology against them if they ever dared to return. Far away in the heart of the Illyrian Empire, the Invictus burst back into reality. Its hull battered and scorched. It drifted through space, a silent testament to the failed invasion and the might of the human resistance. Its sudden appearance, and the news of Commander Cygnus' defeat, sent shockwaves through the already unstable empire. On the Illyrian homeworld, in the halls of power, rival factions moved to seize control in the wake of the disastrous campaign. Whispers spread of the upstart humans, the primitive species that had repelled the mighty Illyrian war machine. Some called for a swift and brutal retribution, others for a wary withdrawal and consolidation of their remaining resources. As the internal power struggles intensified, the Illyrian Empire teetered on the edge of a full-scale civil war. The once mighty civilization, which had sought to dominate the galaxy, now faced an uncertain future, its fate tied to the outcome of the battle for Earth. On the bridge of the newly christened Phoenix, Earth's flagship, General Williams stood before a viewport, gazing out at the stars. The weight of the war, of the lives lost, and the challenges ahead hung heavy on his shoulders. Yet, in the glittering expanse of space, he saw not just the spectre of future threats, but the promise of a united humanity, forged in the crucible of the Illyrian invasion. The scars of the war would linger, but Earth would endure. And the next time the galaxy came calling, the human race would be ready to meet it head-on. The Phoenix, and the fleet that would follow it, would be a beacon of hope and a signal to all who watched from the stars, a declaration that humanity, once divided and dismissed, had emerged onto the galactic stage as a force to be reckoned with. You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.